Alright, I'm probably live. I'm trying to share the screen because I have hardcore aggressive pornography on the other screens and I don't want you guys to see that. So, um, okay, this should be good. We're on RARS. Let me move my face up so you guys can see my face for vanity purposes. I basically fell apart. My hand is broken. My knee is broken. Um, I'm not healing. And I've tried to think back to when I made the most gains, and really the most success I've had is going extremely hard. Is the Mike Menser? He's right. Like when I think about it, going hard for short periods of time produced the most improvements. Like when I was like kind of a fuck up, more so than I mean I am still a fuck up, but when I was really a fuck up, I had good gains because I would lift. Like I would just go to the gym, and I'd lift. I'd just go as hard as I can. If I was doing cardio, like I wouldn't run for like 30 minutes. I'd just fucking sprint until I was fucking tired. And then I'd stop running and go smoke a bowl or something. Like, it works. You just got to go hard for short periods of time and then trust your body. If you don't feel like lifting, don't lift. That's the new plan. We're just gonna take it easier. If I don't feel like studying, I'm not gonna study. I'm gonna just try and try and reformulate things a little better. I think that's the new plan forward. But anyway, here we are at RISC-V here. This isn't even homework, so I'm kind of wasting time here. But we got to learn this. This is important. Assembly. This is what's going to separate the boys from the men. Okay, this right here is what's going to do it for us. So we have this code here. I'm trying to debug it. It doesn't work. They provided this to me. You can't see it, but this is some code that they provided to us. I'm kind of glad it doesn't work because it's simple enough that I should be able to fix it. So let's let's take a look here. Um, uh, so I've added all of this and all of this. So originally the code had an RA here, but the return address wasn't set. So right off the bat, that wouldn't work because the return address was 0, and 0 is an invalid address. Everybody knows that. It always has been. It always will be. That is kind of, that's not even, that's true in like a lot of languages. I've seen that error in C a bunch. C, I get that error. I don't even, that's like the only error I get in C is trying to access the 0 value, especially with arrays and stuff like that. So right off the bat, that didn't work. So I've added this exit thing here. I just copied that from this code here. I kind of I added the end message somewhere else. I wanted to print the final result should be saved in A0. Uh, and that's the return address. So that should be good to go. That should be preserved. I shouldn't have to save that again. Um, then this is going to jump back here. It should do a final check, then go to the exit, and it should come down here. I'm going to save the A0 value in T0, just a temporary. Maybe I should save it in S0 or something, but it doesn't matter. All of the registers are the same. Once I figure this out, I have actual notes and we'll put out a real video on the procedures and registers here. Basically, the only register that is hardwired is X0, and that's hardwired to 0, but any other register, you can put whatever you want and it'll run. So I'll put the RA register here, I'll assemble it, and line 32 zeros in the wrong operand, but the error wasn't related to the RA being set there. Is of incorrect type. What the hell does that mean? I have no idea. Let's try and assemble that again. There's columns? I didn't know that. Uh, operand is of incorrect type. It's not this T0, but maybe that'll fix it, because it was running before without that, so good. That's not it, but add I, A0. Well, I guess this isn't an immediate, so maybe this should just be an add. That's fair. Load address. What did I do wrong here? Label. It's not a label, so I probably could just get away with an add here as well. We'll just put 0 here. That should be fine. Okay, cool. So we're in, and it's not gonna, it finished running. If you can see this, it just set the A0 to 1 because that's what the code says to do. So I don't know how this computes the factorial. You can see here that despite whatever happens here, at the end of the day, it's going to jump back to the factorial, and it's going to just set A0 to 1. So A0 is going to stay at 1 after this is finished. Whatever happens here, at the end of the day, A0 is set to 1. This doesn't end. This is going to, there's no check for the jump, so something is clearly wrong. I'm going live just because I want to think out loud, and I haven't been live in a while, so maybe somebody will watch this and appreciate the effort. So if you are, comment something and I'll respond. Someone was saying they were having trouble with the blue screen. That's Mac. I didn't want to respond because I didn't actually look into it that heavily, but there's some issues with, I think it was something about just the way Mac is handling Java. And RARS is a Java program, so there's some issue with that. I really don't have the answer for you, but there is solutions online. So I did look it up for about 20 minutes, and I did see that it was solved. So I didn't respond because it looks like a solved problem, a very well-known problem, and one Google search brought me to a bunch of Stack Overflows that had the solution. If you don't like Stack Overflow, I would go on Bing chat, ask Bing. Unfortunately, GPT is just getting worse every month. I don't know if it's model collapse or if they're doing some patches on it. I think what's really going on is they need to sell the service, so they're just going to keep nerfing it. And then if you are a paid company and you're not an expert, you're going to be really impressed with the paid services that they have for you. For your application, for your enterprise applications, like what Microsoft Azure is offering. I'm sure it's not going to be nerfed. They're not going to have any of those restrictions because it's your own business application, and it's going to perform 10 times better than what they have for free. You can't really blame them for that. Got to make money somehow. So that's that. Anyway, back to this. What should this be doing? We want to start with A0, actually. And we want to check N hasn't been set. T0, okay, no. Okay, this should be T0. A0 hasn't been set. So right now, A0 at the start of the program should be 0. And it is. So maybe we want to add like a main up here. Or not even a main, just something, some input. So we will do another eCall. And I did have this enter value prompt. So load address A0, comma, enter number prompt, and then we'll do load add I. We want to number input is that is read int is 5. You can find that on the GitHub. So we want to save that in the A7 register. So A7 A0, comma, or A7, 0, comma. Let's use 0 instead of X0 because it's easier to read. And then we'll put, what did I say, 5? I hope I said 5. Yes, it's 5. So that should read an integer, and it should save it to A0. And then now we should be able to save this and start running. And we should hit run here, and it finished. The factorial of the number you entered is 1, so the output is good to go. But this didn't run. Why didn't this run? Probably because I don't know. I don't know why it didn't run, but we'll figure it out because we got the debugger, and the debugger is cool. This debugger I think is better than Java's debugger because you can go. It's better than even Python's. You can go backwards in this debugger. Most of them you can't go backwards. I don't know what's up with that, but you can go backwards in this, which is awesome. So we'll go ahead and assemble it. We'll go back to the beginning, and look, you can go backwards. You see that? You can go backwards. And you can go backwards all the way to the beginning, too, in the same debugging session. It's changing the game, folks. You know, that's crazy. What a time to be alive. So let's step through. So just skipped over that. Didn't even try. The enter a number prompt didn't even get. Did I mess that up? No, I didn't. That should have. We'll keep going here. A7. It's 5. Oh, I didn't do the e-call. Yeah. Forgot to e-call. You got to e-call. E-call's it's an I-type instruction, which is pretty cool. I have that in here. That's pretty crazy. Um, we'll get into that once I figure this out. I have notes. There'll be a real video coming out too. So this is casual. You know, I got some kayak here. You know, we're just we'll run it. Yeah, and I changed it in the settings. You can change the input to be a pop-up. I mean, this RARS here is pretty. It's pretty advanced. Like, it's got a lot of cool features. It's not, you can do this in Java. This is like a whole nother class. Like, you can even in Python, you have to tkinter to get this pop up. You have to. It's like you gotta import tkinter. You gotta make a whole thing. It's nonsense. Here, it's right here. That's very nice. So, enter an integer value. Let's do. I think 6 is like the normal number that you do a factorial of. 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2. I think that's 720, right? Which is pretty close to 420, which is nice. Okay, see, so the number I entered is 1, because that's what it does. It's just going to set A0 to 1. I don't know how this is supposed to work, but that's all right. We'll figure something out. Hopefully. Let me try and remember what factorial does. So we start with the number that we entered in A0. Well, first let's debug. We'll go back here and see what happens. So, we'll step, eCall, step. We get the integer value. We'll put in 6. We'll hit enter. It continues. I don't like how it does that. It'll step when you hit it. I feel like it shouldn't. I feel like it shouldn't. It shouldn't do that. You should hit OK, and nothing happens, and then you step. but it is what it is. So you know, that's it's doing too much there. But whatever. Um, and then T0 should be set to 2 after this, and it is. A0 is greater than T0, so it should jump to the else if portion, and it did. It's gonna set aside space 8 bytes on the. It said 16 because that's what it was using the code that I got was using the 64-bit, but we're not, so I had to change it to 8. And we're using words instead of double words. Words are 4 bytes. Let me spit this out. I apologize. Uh, um, that's disgusting. I apologize. People say it's disgusting. I don't know. I don't think it's disgusting. It's, you know, but it is like spit in your mouth. So I get it. Nobody, whatever. I don't care. I don't give a shit. But it's hard to talk. So there we go. So so we had to switch it to 8 bits. I'll change that comment later. We're at 64-bit. If you want to go 64-bit, there's an option right here in the settings, so you can click that. Again, I'm not an expert. I did just take the midterm, and I failed it. So, you know, I'm just doing the best I can here. So, um, um, uh, but I spent too much time. You know, I was trying to do stuff by hand. I actually want to learn this stuff. So, you know, it's just what it is. There's no excuses. I wasn't prepared and I failed. So we're gonna keep trying. Try something else out. Try another method, and we'll. Yeah, and I shouldn't have done that because now it's gonna reset the whole thing. But well, while we're at it, we might as well fix this. But so far it looks good. I think we're gonna see that it's just gonna come back to here, and it's just gonna set A0 to 1. We don't want to do that. We want it to add 1 to the original A0 value. So I think what we want to do is something like that, but let's just double check that that is, what's happening. And we want to add A0. So this is good. And then we multiply. I don't know what the hell this is. I didn't even know there was a multiply function. We were using SL, shifting left to multiply by 2. And then if you want to multiply by something that's not a power of 2, you add the value back to itself a corresponding amount of times. I guess you could multiply by 2 and then subtract if you want to. It's the same thing either way. And it'd be the same amount of distance. So that doesn't even make any sense. But, there's a couple of ways to. I didn't know there was a multiply function. There was. So that's good to know. Okay, 8. And before we get back into it, to see if we can just see something here. I don't like first person. This is weird. I refer to myself in third person exclusively. Xavier refers to himself in third person. There is no I. It's we. Have some respect. We deserve more than the first. We encompass multiple facets of existence. We cannot be surmised into a singular. So let's see what we got. Also, I want to put this down here. And we'll save that. And so I think there's something here. This has got to change. That can't work. This is kind of weird. I feel like that should be up here, but I guess not. I guess here we do it this way so that we save the A0 value before. This is strange because usually this is the callee, but we're treating it as the caller, kind of, by saving these values. It should work. There's no law. And then we decrement the A0 by 1. And then we call the factorial again. And then we just reset. There's too much resetting here. This isn't gonna work. It's making too many assumptions. So well, okay, that's fine because the T0 we're not using, so we're just going to continually check if T0 is less than 2, because if T0 is less than 2, we're going to multiply by 1, and once we multiply by 1, we don't have to multiply by 1. We'll just assume that 1 times any number is itself. Someone has hopefully proved that, and I'll take their word for it. I'm pretty sure that that's true. Sometimes, unless it's a vector, I guess, then I don't even know. So it depends on where we are in space, I guess. I don't know. But so if it's less than 2, we'll just return the value. We're done. So that should be fine. If it's greater than 2, then we want to go back into this loop. We do no operations here, and we go straight back. So there's nothing happening. We just have decremented this by 1. Okay, so then we return 1. And then we add 1 to, then we add A0 to T0. Okay. We go back. We check if it's less than 2. We never get here, though. Okay, so we're gonna have to step through because I'm just not capable of stepping through that myself. So let's go again. We'll go here. We'll step again, and we'll step again to the e-call. Step again. Here we go. We'll enter. Let's just start with 3. That should be 6. Okay, then we'll step again, and now T0 is less than A0 is greater than T0, so it should jump to the loop, which starts at 17. Step again, it jumps to the loop. We've set aside space on the stack pointer, 8 bytes for 2 values, and because we want to save the return address, and we want to save the I don't even know if we want to save the return address because it's just 0, but maybe that'll come in handy later. Then we want to save the A0 value because we're going to, I don't even know if we want to save the A0 value at this point because we already have it. I think A0 is a return value. Caller saved. Yeah, so that's if we're using it as a temporary, and we're not. So, I don't know. There was a reason why we're doing that. Let me check the docs here. I don't know. I had to call Chase today. Garbage. So, alright, so A0 is a temporary. They're not preserved. So, these are caller saved. And we're saving it in the callee instead of the caller. Because we're treating the callee as we're kind of, I guess, like a do. Like we're going to run the fact first, but really we're running the else if. And that calls the fact, even though it also calls the else if. I think this code is big dumb. I think this is big dummy code, but I'm not an expert. So we're saving those values here. We'll just step through, see what happens. Okay. Nothing has changed. A0 is still where it was. That's fine. The SP is over here at the wherever it is. It doesn't, it's where it should be. And then we're adding -1 to A0, and that's going to be 2. And then we go to the return address, which has been saved. Nice. So it came to the right spot. Well, that gets saved with the JA, actually. This does that. So this sets that to the right place. I don't know if we needed to. It would have worked whether we saved it or not, because it was 0 here. And this handles that. This actually, the JR and the JA. The JR is basically a JAL, actually. As far as I know. Anyway, we're back at the top here. Now n is it's equal to 2, not less than 2, so we should run this again. We're going to set T0 back to 2 again, but it's already 2, so that nothing really changes there. Then we should jump back down to 17, and we do. We're going to set space again for values that are not changing. Okay, I guess, okay, now we're going to store A0 in that space on the stack pointer in memory, which is, we're calling to memory a lot here. That doesn't seem to be good, but let's just see what happens. And then we're going to decrement by 1 here. And now we're at 1, and we go back. We've done no computations at all. Where did the 5 come from? I don't even know. S2, 5 always appears for some reason. I've noticed that. I don't it's not just this program. A lot of times I'll see a 5 for some reason. I didn't set it, 5, because 5 is like, it's like half a dime, Sometimes you got to throw 5 out. Like, I feel it. I know where sometimes you just got to have 5, so I get it. And then now we're here. A0 is less than 2, so it should continue. And then we just set A0 to 1, and then we exit. So that doesn't do anything. There's been no computations. And then we print that, and then we just exit, and we're done. Okay. So, yeah, okay, so that doesn't do anything. Let me check what they said it's supposed to do. Let me just... Yeah, this doesn't work. It never gets below the factorial call. It'll never get past this, because so maybe I'll just go ahead and set this to RA as it was before, and then it'll never exit. It'll just, I don't know what'll happen now, but we'll give it a shot. Um, and so right, we need a JR here, not a J. Okay, so we compiled. We'll just run it just because. We'll enter 3 and load access error because it's 0. So we're gonna get a load access error because this is set to 0. Um, uh, my uh, so yeah, you can't. This is 0. But we'll step through. Maybe I missed something. A7 is 5. Oh, I set it to 5. Right. Oh yeah. Maybe that's why 5 always appears. Sometimes I don't do that though, and I see a 5. And it's in S2 sometimes or something. There'll be like a 5 over here for some reason. For real. On GD. So we'll keep going. And we'll set aside the memory. We'll keep going. And we'll jump back here. We'll keep going. And RA is no longer 0, so this should be good. We'll go one more time. And we'll jump back here. And here we are. Oh. Oh, right. So we went past it. Cool. I have a feeling we're going to get down here, though. So it wasn't the 0. Some other reason why there was a load access error. Maybe I have it's doing a 16-bit where it should be doing but we'll see. So keep going. So it's loaded all that back up. It's loaded all the stuff that was saved aside. It loads the return address. It loads the value that was saved as the return address into the return address register. It loads the value that was saved here back into A0, which was 2, which is what we not what we started with, but and then it's gonna move the stack pointer up 8 bytes, and then we're gonna multiply A0 by A0, no, A0 by T0, A0 by T0, and put it in A0. That would never even, that's not even how factorial works. Let me think. So if you ran it 4 times, then that means you started at 5, right? You started at 5, 4, 3, 2. And 5 factorial is not equal to 5 times 4. It's not. 5 factorial is not equal to 5 times 4. And that's a good thing. Then we're going to return back to this address here. I don't know where that's going to take us. I forgot. Oh, we're back here again. Okay, so now we should, it was 2 times 1, back into A0, so that should be 2 again. And then we're gonna put 2 in T0. Okay, that's cool. So we got 2 times 1, and then it should be 2 times 2. Okay. And then we're going back to memory again. That's kind of a waste. We never did any of that, but that's okay. And then we're gonna do, now it's 3 because that was the original from way back when. So now we'll do 3 times 2, which is 6, and that's gonna actually give us the right value. So this actually does work. I don't know. We're running. We don't have the best processor upstairs here, so so that's 6. That is the right value. And then there we go. We have an issue. I shouldn't have went all the way back. But the return address, it didn't like that because the return address that it picked up from before was 0. So the first time the return address was correct, the second time the return address was 0. You didn't see it, but trust me, it was. We'll do it again. It's there. 0. Then you can't go to 0. So we're going to go here. We are getting the right value. But then we return to 0 and it doesn't like that. So I think we should be able to get away with, we don't want to do exit here. We'll try it. We'll see what happens. Maybe if we set it to exit, that'll fix all of it. This actually does work. That's cool. I don't think this is gonna yet. So we got a J to exit. And then we'll put 3 in here. And yeah, so it fucked up because it's just gonna go straight to exit when it should be returning RA. So what do we do? What do we do? So the return address starts at 0, but we don't want to set it to something because then it will return to something that we don't want it to return to initially. So what do we do? If we set it to 0, then well, first it'll jump. It sets the return address here. This is where it really gets set for the first time. Well, we have to step through it again. Okay. So we'll step through it again one more time and see what happens. All right. So okay, we enter 3. Return address is 0. Let's see where it gets set for the first time. It should jump down here. It does all that. And here we go. Now the return address is not 0. But we jump back up here. And we go down. And we keep going. Okay. 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 Fuck. Yeah, so I think we can set the return address first. And maybe we'll do, maybe we'll do, I don't know, add I, or, how do you even do that? Add I, I don't know, RA, comma, well, no, I guess we want to LA, RA, comma, exit. Maybe that'll work, right? Exit, right? And then it'll be at exit, and it won't go there. It'll get set to something else, but it'll remember, maybe. Okay, and then maybe, and it'll, yeah, it didn't work. Okay, well, we tried. Let's see what happens. So right now, 3. Okay, we set the return address to exit, and then we go here. And we go down. We keep setting it to exit. We don't want to do that every time. We just want to do that once. There it is. We want that to be outside of the loop. All right. We'll do that up here just one time. Set it to exit one time. One time. I don't know if that'll save though. I think RA is, what is RA? That's X1. Maybe that's saved registered. We'll find out. We'll find out. Who knows what happens? Maybe it'll work. Maybe it won't. Three, and it didn't work. No, it did work. Yeah, fuck the cops, nigga. All right, so it did work. All right, so that's cool. So we set the. That's not the way to do. There's got to be a better way to do that. But so that did work though. So there you go. That's how you do that. Um, uh, all right. We let's step through it though. I don't. Probably didn't actually work. Um, um, enter three, and then we'll set the return address that one time, and then it changed. I don't know why. Hold it, but you can go backwards. Look at this. You can go. You know how good that is to be able to go backwards. You can't do that a lot of times in the debugger. You have to redo the whole thing, and sometimes you have a ton of inputs, and you have to read, and it's not even worth it. It's not even worth it. I don't even try sometimes because it's not even worth it. So that's all. That's like big doves. The Lord is with us. So that's all right. It changed. I don't know why it changed after that. Uh, it doesn't really matter though, I guess, because we'll see what happens. Maybe it didn't actually work. It's entirely possible. Um, um, oh, looks like it's doing something. Looks like it's doing something. It's back to five. Hold on. Hold on. Oh, and it did jump to the right location. It did. So the 5-4, I guess it wasn't. I don't know why it. I don't know what that was. We're probably not going to figure that one out today. But all right, and it worked. There we go. Praise Jah. All right, so that's how I code. You can use GPT. It's not. You really have to retrain your own stuff. I do have code for that, and I do have a small program that I have done for some Java, but there's just so many variables. It's easier to just learn what you're doing for now. But once you get a good, I don't know anything, so once I get a good understanding, I'll be able to make better prompts, and for future generations, I will upload a full. You have to do some. It's a kind of an iterative process. Maybe I'll open up the. I didn't push it to GitHub yet, but it will be on my GitHub. You can, if you want to get started on it. I don't. Nobody's watching this. Maybe someone is. I can't really look at it right now because it will mess up the. But if you do want to get started, you can't. I do have code for it. So if you go to the local GPT LLM trainer, this is for. Well, you can also go to the OpenAI cookbook, but if you go to the trainer and you go to the data prep Python file, you'll see that there's the generate examples, and you can just go to that file as well. Any one of them. You're going to need to change it to not generate repetitive examples, but just to generate one. And you want to change the system prompt and the content prompt. There's a better code. There's something on the OpenAI Python GitHub. You can't see it. I'm not going to change. I'll just make a video on that soon. But first, I'll make a video on this RAR stuff because this is more important. We got to learn assembly. Because this is learning assembly is really nice, because now when I get errors in other code, it makes a whole lot more sense. Like you're not You got to learn this first. I don't even know why they started teaching us anything else. We should have learned this. This should be all we're learning. We should just be doing this in math, and then everything else is on your own. That's how I would structure this setup. That would be, like it should just be math and assembly and all the other crap you got to do on your own because it's changing too. Nobody's using Java. Who is using Java? I don't know. Not me. So that's that. But it is on Python. If you combine the GPT LLM trainer that I have on GitHub right now, and you combine the cookbook code, you can generate. What I can do is generate code explanations and templates. There is code for Python test cases, but the test cases that we're using is not. We're using a custom testing class, so the syntax is kind of different, and it's always trying to add things that don't exist, and you're just wasting so much time. You have to give it examples, and then you're just wasting a bunch of time editing the thing that it's trying to do, and it's really a pain in the ass, but it's not really. I've just been lazy. I've been trying to, I've just been lazy. So there's really no excuse for that, and I do apologize. But we'll get to that. But first, we'll post this video on RARS Part 5. We'll be talking about procedures and arguments and the stack pointer, which I took me forever to understand. But the callee, this stuff here is very important. So just to make sure that we're understanding stuff, these registers you can set to whatever you want, but it's conventional that the registers named with a T are meant to be used at will whenever you want, and the registers named with an S are meant to be used by the function that calls other functions, and you're supposed to save those before you call the other functions so that if the other functions do need to use those, you have the original values that you can load back. So that's really all this. That is terrible explanation. There'll be a better explanation, but really you're just saving. There's some registers you want to reuse, but you want to save the initial values. It doesn't really come up that often. Really, I think you can just get away with picking different registers. You have 32 of them, so I don't know why you're using 32 variables, but people like to use A0. People like to use S0. A0 is conventional for returns, so the eCall is always going to save into A0. So if you're using an eCall and you already have a value in A0, you are going to need to save the value in A0 somewhere, and that's what's happening here. So you save it to the stack, which is on memory, and then you can load that value after you use it, and you'll still have it. So it'll be in memory, or it'll be on wherever the stack is. The stack could be in a lot of different places. It'll save it to the stack, and you can use it in your own code, use the register in your own code, overwrite the value, and then when you're done with it, you can load the original value back off the stack, and you'll have it. And you have to do that pretty much for any of the S registers that you may be using. And if you have a temporary that you want to save, you would have to do the same thing inside the function that you called, or the callee. Really, you have to do it for the return address and the A0 register. These two, you kind of, and the S0 register as well, and the S1 register and the A1 register too. So the S1, A1, A0, and A1. I already said A1. I missed one of them, but those registers and the RA register, generally you're gonna have to save those if you're using them. And usually you save them in the main, or the function that calls other functions. This one is, they did a little fancy stuff on us here, but we're just treating this else if function as the calling function, and we're treating this fact as kind of like a do. Like we do it one time, like we did up here. We do it one time, but then after that one time, really, it's being called, and this is really the main that is doing the heavy lifting. So there'll be a better explanation. I don't think anyone is even watching this, but I did want to just go through the iterative process because I wanted to talk to myself because it gets very lonely here sometimes. But there'll be a video coming out right now. So I'm going to post another video and we will explain this factorial code that has been edited. This will be uploaded to GitHub. We have this linked list and stack, which is already on GitHub, and I'll go through those kind of, but really I'll just go through the notes that I wrote and explain those because there's some cool things with the instruction format that I didn't really get into before. The organization of the instructions is actually is intelligent big brain stuff. So the instruction formats are kind of the same, so you can use the same values. You can kind of repeat instructions with the same values. We'll get into all that, but peace and love as always. I hope you guys have a fantastic day out there. It's tough out there. I know it's tough out there. We struggling out here, my boys. We struggling out here, but we will survive. We ain't weak. We strong as they come. So just be easy out there. Keep grinding. Keep shining. There will be better days, and if there won't, there just won't be better days, and you just keep going, and then you get to die at the end, and it all works out. So don't lose faith. And if you do, lose it right now. Don't lose faith in a lose all the faith right now, or just keep going. It's one or the other. End it or keep going. Amen. Peace.